Hello everyone, Murray the Pie Man here to do something a bit different. So I've decided to take a little break from Star Trek 25th, just a kind of interim. I always like to do this to prevent the thing getting stale. It was one of the things I thought when I was doing the Mist playthrough that occasionally it might get a bit too much. So the idea here is I'm going to look at a game which I think requires a bit more love. And this particular one is one of the XCOM series, in fact the second. It's XCOM Terror from the Deep. So we're just going through the cinematic intro at the moment. Isn't it lovely? Oh, it's Titanic. I'm flying. Yeah. Somewhere Rose and Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio are sitting in there. And instead of an iceberg, it's an alien. So, we have XCOM launching.
Barracuda 01 launched.
Right.
Maintain radio contact.
Sinking. Will the crew escape or will they all be eaten by Martians? There's some very shady early 90s, but you know, they were trying. I actually quite like it. I think it's impressive that they were trying stuff out.
At least what's left of her. Going out there.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake, be careful.
Airlock clear.
Jake. Jake. You read me, Jake. Jake. Jake, come in.
So yes, this is XCOM Terror from the Deep. So I'm going to start a new game. Now I'm not going to be playing through a whole game of it, don't panic. What I'm going to do is a bit like the normal ones. I'm going to set a timer, and when we started playing I'm going to play for a certain amount of time, roughly about half an hour. And I'll talk you through some of the things. I'll hopefully try to provide some insight and information to this. So we'll pick a new game. I'm going with beginner. This game's tough as nails, and I'm not very good at them, so don't judge me. So we've got to pick a site for a base first. Now I'll explain some of the XCOM stuff a bit later. So as you can see, we've got the whole globe here. Now in the original XCOM game you wanted to pick an area with a lot of landmass. So here's kind of the opposite. You want to pick as much ocean as possible. So I'm going to pick there, and we've got to name it. So I could come up with something unoriginal like Base 1 or that sort of thing, but because I'm a fan of the old Jerry Anderson series UFO, it becomes Shadow HQ, largely because Harlington Straker Studios won't fit. So there we have. So this, for those who are familiar with the first XCOM game, this is your basic screen. This is what they call the Geoscape. There are two screens in this, Geoscape and Battlescape. Geoscape is a big planet Earth which you can spin round. You can also zoom in. So as you can see, the year is the distant year 2040. At the moment the Phantom's running around somewhere in a kind of rather cool techno thing. As you can see, if you zoom in, we have all the important parts, London and Aberdeen. Yep, that's as far as we can zoom in, but it's the Euro Syndicate. Oh, those poor sweet summer children. So yeah, the Egyptian cartel, you've got the nations of the world there, Eurasia, the Icelandic Union. I like the idea of that. Neo-Japan, Free China. That's not an offer of Free China, it's the name. So, what we have to do first, we're then going to look at our base here, and I'll start talking through. So, this is your basic base. As you can see, we've got about $4 million to spend on stuff. What I want to do first is build some facilities, because we need a few things. So, my base there's the subs, my Triton, which is the troop carrier, and the two Barracudas, which are my interceptors. I've got a workshop there for building stuff. I've got a lab for doing science. I've got a place to store things. I've got a small sonar, and I've got a living quarters. So what I'm going to have to do first is build some facilities. I'm going to want to build some more stores, because we will start running out of space very quickly. I'm going to build an alien containment unit so we can start taking back live aliens. And I'm going to put in a wide array sonar because we need better sonar, and in fact I'm going to bung in an extra living quarters as well. So we're going to OK that. Now the next screen, so we could build a new base. We're not going to do that. As you can see, we can build quite a lot of bases. That gives us information about how many staff and that sort of thing. You can see your monthly running costs because you can micromanage everything. Aquanauts, like astronauts, but aquanauts. So there's our current crew. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 aquanauts, right? And then we're going to equip submarines. So I'm actually going to look at Triton 1 first, because at the moment we'll be running with 8. But a lot of the kit we've got is useless. So these dart guns are worthless. In fact, just come to think of it, the general equipment we've got is pretty bad. And I'll take as much ammo as I can. Do we have a hydrojet? We'll take a hydrojet cannon and some clips for that. We'll take some high X bolts for the gas cannon. We'll take some grenades. Yep, that's fine for the moment. So what I'm going to want to do, we don't have any armour yet, but we will get there. Oh, the other thing, on the Barracudas, you can see we've got an Ajax and a gas can. Now I think we've got a dupe head, which is the better one, so I'm going to put that in. And now I'm actually going to skip, because we've got a build facility which we've done. We can start research. I will actually start that, because I want a new project. I'm going to start weapons. So a new weapons technology, Gauss. I will get some more scientists in. We do also have manufacture, which we can't do anything at the moment. Hopefully we'll see that before the time runs out. Transfer is moving people. And actually I'm going to skip purchase recruit. I'm going to go straight to sell sack at the moment, because you see we've got some useless stuff. So the craft gas cannon is pretty much rubbish. So I'm going to get rid of that and all its ammo. Same as the dart guns. And in fact, the other thing I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to get rid of these armor piercing bolts, and and I'm going to get rid of this torpedo launcher. The torpedo launcher is basically an underwater bazooka, which sounds cooler than it is. These dye grenades are just like smoke grenades. So that's me, made some money back. I'm now going to buy some stuff. I'm going to want another 4 aquanauts, scientists. I'm going to hold off on that, so I want another dupe launcher and another few torpedoes, and I'm wanting some. Right, I'm going to be wanting a few more of these, and I'm going to get a lot of clips because this thing chews through ammo. These things chew through ammo. I'm going to go for some high X gas cannon bolts, and same with the hydrojet high X bolts. Fact, yeah, so we'll do that for the moment. Torpedo launcher. I'll get myself a couple of thermal tasers as well. So yeah, I've got that. I've not spent too much yet. Give me time, kids. Give me time. So I'm going to buy another 10 scientists as well. And let's see if we can get these. So I'm going to get a coelacanth. This is kind of a mini tank up. Right, so I need to build up my store space first. So that's basically what we do. We then go back to the geoscape. Now what we're really doing now is we're playing the waiting game. So I'm going to give you a bit of background to this as we go. I'm going to run it at 30 minutes. Oh, there we have. So there's a sub. So we're going to do our first intercept. We'll get Barracuda 1. I can't remember what I've armed that with, you know. Right, so we've launched that. So basically this is very similar to the first XCOM game. For those of you not familiar, the first XCOM game, have I launched it? Yeah, hang on. Oh, it's rearming. I'd forgotten I'd replaced weapons, so it's still waiting, it's still changing weapons. These things take time. So yeah, so what you have to do is you have to intercept UFOs. Oop. Oh, second one. That's still rearming, so I'll keep that there at the moment. So yeah, you've got to intercept UFOs because they're attacking the Earth. All these ones are coming up from the depths of the ocean. And research technologies and that sort of thing in order to better fight off the alien nasties. Now, this was the sequel, and it's quite often a bit unloved. You see, the thing is, this is kind of... yeah, there we go. Let's see. Oh, damn it. We've lost that one. So we're doing an intercept here. So let's see what sub we've got. Fairly small one. I'm going to do a standard attack pattern, which is closing. We've got standoff, cautious attack standard, aggressive, which will pull us right into cannon range. In fact, let's go aggressive. Let's pull us into cannon range. Might as well use up some of that gas cannon ammo. Wasn't going to use it for anything else. So we've downed a sub. Excellent. So now, stage 2, I'm going to send some troops out. Hang on, do we have a crash? Yes, we've got a crash site, so I'm going to send some troops out to have a look at it, and this is good, this means we get Battlescape as well. So yeah, so the original XCOM game looked roughly like this. Colour scheme was different, music was slightly different, and it was all set on land. Now the story goes that the first XCOM game was a surprise hit, and they decided they wanted a sequel. Now they were working on the game that would eventually be XCOM Apocalypse, which is actually also worth doing, but I've got some problems running it at the moment. And so what they did instead was they basically, while they were working on that, they got someone to reskin this, and this is why a lot of people don't like this. It's why it's kind of a less appreciated one of the sequels, because a lot of people see Terror from the Deep as just a reskin and rehash of UFO, and in fairness it is. If I was to do a playthrough of UFO, or as people call it, XCOM UFO Defense, then, extreme caution, there will be aliens in the submarine and around the site. This mission will be completed when all enemy units have been eliminated or neutralized. Recovery of the alien sub-remains, technology and alien corpses can then be initiated. To abort the mission, return XCOM to the submarine, and then click on the abort mission icon. So this is going to hopefully go to the Battlescape, and it won't go horribly wrong with the recording. Let's find out. Now I've got music. Right, so this is where you're equipping. Now, like I say, it was a reskin, and I do fully accept that, but one of the things they did a few housekeeping things which actually made life a bit better for you. So one of the things was, in the original XCOM game, you couldn't check your Aquanaut stats, which you can do now. The reason for that is weapons like this one are really heavy. And so what I tend... Now these are... Oh, it's got some rounds in it, that's fine. So we have to equip the troops, and sadly we've got a lot of them, so I'm going to try and take as little time as possible. So he's 29, I'm actually going to leave him with this weapon, but I'm going to put these on his legs. One of the things that this has is the game has time units. It's faster for someone to transfer a weapon from their leg to their arm. I'm also going to start him off with the high X. So yeah, this is the second part where we're actually managing troops on the ground. Sylvie, ooh, no, Sylvie, you're getting rid of this, and you'll be taking a big gun, because Sylvie is a strong lass. So yeah, in the original game what you had to do is you actually had to usually take notes in the Aquanauts' names of their strength. And it still is easier to do that, it's definitely quicker. Emil, I'm just going to go back to... Yeah, actually, Sam Tarantino. No relation. If you... so yeah, you had to basically take notes of how strong people were, so that you didn't overburden them. If you overload someone, they'll move more slowly and it'll be very hard to move them around. So what you'd end up doing is giving someone a huge weapon. You give someone a huge gun, and they'd end up kind of struggling around the map with it, which was never particularly good. Now, and that was definitely a kind of what would you call it? I was going to say a cost of living. Kind of living with it, kind of improvement, lifestyle improvement. So yeah, it's not a major thing, but it's a couple of tweaks that they obviously did in response to some of the things people didn't like about the old version. And so they did that. Now the other thing they did was they absolutely ramped up the difficulty. There's a really good mechanic they've thrown into this, and it's based around the fact that you're underwater. So the idea is... they do kind of do a bit of a kind of right, so this is your... I'll carry on with that in a minute. This is what they call the Battlescape. So as you can see, we've got our little Triton sub there, and we've got all our Aquanauts, and they're all armed, and there's things around us, but we can't see anything. What we've got here is different things. So that's move. We can move an Aquanaut up a level, or we can just look. As you can see, there's actually 4 levels to this area. There's various other things, kneeling, standing still. That's your abort mission, that's your end turn. These ones are quite good though. Again, another thing, so you had this option before where you could reserve time units, so that's for a snapshot, and so aim shot and auto shot, so they've got different types of shot. Turn-based battle. I've reserved time units for an auto shot, and the map will be revealed as we see it, so it's very much line of sight. So there's the edge of the map, so I'm going to turn him this way first, and hopefully we don't run into anything nasty too soon after we break out the ship. So try to see as much as possible, because things will sneak up at you from the dark. And then this one's got an auto shot as well, so we're going to walk out here. Now these wings do slow you down a bit, it's always a bit of a pain to wander over them. Right, so that's good, that's kind of the edge of this map that we've got. Right, and I'm going to move the next couple up to the door, ready for departing. I usually like to move them out slowly. So they did a couple of tweaks to the game. The first one is there's this decent underwater mechanic. So the argument is why you're not using all the funky weapons that you captured in the first game. As you see, we don't see what the aliens are doing. Why we're not using any of these funky weapons is because the special alloys you discovered, as it turns out, explode in contact with salt water. That's convenient. And a lot of it was based along a material called Illyrium, or a kind of substance called Illyrium, which powered a lot of it. And basically, there's no Illyrium left. They've not managed to source any more. So because of that, a lot of things like the plasma weapons went. Now, there's kind of bits later on where you say yes, but that doesn't explain X, Y, and Z. The reason is that the game does actually have, now, quick aside here, this weapon only snapshots, so I'm actually going to reserve time units there. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm fanning out. I'm trying to find out where the aliens are. I'm trying to keep my troops separated, not too far, so they can support each other. But one of the things you've got to watch for in this is one of the major tweaks they made is sometimes the aliens will lob grenades at you, and if you've got everyone standing too close together, that can actually end out quite badly for you. So it's why I'm separating my troops out as much. So I'm still looking for the aliens. So yeah, this was one of the things they came up with, this idea that you couldn't use, so you're kind of back to normal. Now that was an alien shooting at me. I'm not happy with that, so we're going to, it came from that direction, so we're going to go, I'm going to move Emil here, and this way. Oh, do I have enough? Snapshots 22 time units, so I'm just going to make sure, can I see, so where is this alien that was shooting at us? Now I'm going to maintain my search with this one. Moving, go sort of diagonally down here, trying to uncover. What I'm trying to find is their submarine, which has crashed somewhere. And then I'll move you over this way. Now I'm at a bit of a dilemma, because part of me is wondering, should I... That's incidentally, that's not the submarine, that's some sort of base. I've actually never seen this layout before, but it looks like some sort of deep sea exploration thing there. I'm tempted to turn this person. Aha! So you got a 1 there. There it is. There's my pretty. So he was hiding. So what I can do now is I can take some pot shots at him. I think I hit him with one of them. Did I mention this weapon's terrible? I'm going to nail him down. This makes him a smaller target. But what I am also going to do is Uma here. I'm going to come out and see if I can't. There we go. So again, this is us supporting. Hey! Ooh, now he didn't scream there, and that's significant. So in this game, the aliens will usually make a noise when they die. And if they don't make a noise, that means they're alive. Downside is, I don't think my alien containment's finished. So what that could well mean is that I'm not actually going to be able to take his corpse, take him back and interrogate him. So yeah, they reskinned the game, ultimately, to hurry it out and to do another thing. But they didn't want to just do more of the same, so they came up with this underwater idea. So for starters, you can't just reuse the weapon, they're not just going to keep escalating. There's another one. What they came up with it, so we're stuck with these kind of underwater weapons. The idea is because we're underwater, we're having to use spear guns and torpedoes. Now this actually gave them another quite neat tactical element of the game, which is that some weapons don't work on land. So that gas cannon does. The spear gun that I've got, that works on land. Still no sign of this flying sub. They're called. Oh wait, there it is. So that's the alien ship there. So that's what I'm heading towards. Although I will keep. I'm going to keep you searching, because the aliens could be scattered out over the map. Now, one of the things I was trying to do when we were intercepting was I was trying to... should I reload that gun? Probably not. I was trying to land in daylight, so ideally if you shoot down enemy subs in shallow water and in daylight, you get a lot clearer view. Again, remember this is their backyard. This is their sort of territory, so naturally they're best adapted to it. I'm actually going to start just moving everyone towards here, so I'm going to leave these two in for the moment. Yeah, they're best adapted to this territory, and so because of that, ooh, something exploded. Oh, I've lost a troop. No, who died? So we've got very little armour. I don't know who actually died there, but he popped out and shot at us, and that's one of your problems. This is an oil rig, so some things explode. I have a feeling it was a guy with a cannon. I'm kind of banking on things not exploding twice. So we'll get you around here. Yeah, so they came up with this idea of a mechanic based on some weapons working underwater and some not, and I found it quite neat because things like, and I'm going to show you the weapon in a minute when we come around to it. So this works. This one we've obviously seen that will work on land as well, and but this one doesn't. This one's it fires micro torpedoes. It looks like a Gatling gun, but it fires. The description of it in the lore is it fires micro torpedoes with a variety of different ammo types. And so on land these don't work, same as the torpedo launcher, and it means that you've actually got to think, because what you do is you, as well as intercepting subs, the aliens will also terrorise land facilities, and when they do that, it wasn't the person with the high X cannon, so I'm going to move this person in, but they can't get into close quarters because they're going to be firing high X rounds. Yeah, because of this idea of you have to think a little more about what weapons you're taking and when, the aliens will terrorise land facilities. Now when they do that, all your weapons which only work underwater don't work, so you're suddenly having to rethink what you're equipping your troops with. And I thought it gave quite a decent element to the game. Now, oh dear, didn't start the timer. So because of that, I thought actually it's one of the reasons why I think the game deserves a bit more love. I think the other thing they did was they massively overcomplicated the tech tree. So all these games, as you research, you've got a tech tree to go through for developing tech. Oh, I can't go in here. It's a little base. It's worth checking these little nooks and crannies. Sometimes you'll find an alien might hide in them. I don't think I had any high X on this one. So yeah, I thought it gave quite an interesting tactical element to the game, which the old one didn't have. Like I say, they also massively complicated the tech tree, so it was based a lot more on capturing aliens, of which I think, again, added some more tactics. Alright, let's see. Let's see if we can just nuke this guy. Yep, that's the noise they make when they splat. So I think that's all. This is quite a small ship. One of the things you'll see, there's some sort of particle stuff up here. That actually does mean seeing is going to be harder, because we've kicked up a lot of dust with things exploding, and it's again a thing you've got to watch for. It's basically, it's like smoke. So a lot of the game did just work on, oh, this is like smoke but underwater. This is like, this is this equivalent. But they actually did a fairly good job of not just always making, this is the underwater version of this baddie, this is the underwater version of this. They actually did quite a good job of mixing it around a little and making it more interesting, and I really appreciated that, and it's why I don't think it necessarily deserves... Oh, did he go on us? So there's another one of them. Damn, I thought we'd got them all. I'm glad it stopped them moving. Right, I'm going to move you up. I can see him. Excellent, so let's see if I can... or if I'm going to blow myself up. Oh. Nope, so you'll kneel down. Hopefully you'll get a better shot next time. Let's see if anyone else can get up. So I'm going to just try an auto shot from where I'm standing. Okay, one of the reasons why I'm making everyone kneel after they've taken their shots is because it makes them a smaller target. Should we not manage to, should we fire a whole load of spear rounds at this chap and at range that we're firing, we're blowing up a lot of stuff, we don't manage to actually get him. Which is embarrassing, and I think we're getting to the point of that's what's going to happen, but if we get to that point, at least if they're kneeling, they're harder for him to hit. So he doesn't actually have a line of fire, which means there's something in the way, and that's good, because what that means is I should be able to... Let's nip around here and see if I can catch him. No. But what I've also got to watch is, if you... One of the reasons we're reserving time units is if I reserve time units... Can I snapshot? Nope. If I reserve time units, then I get what's called opportunity fire. It's a lot of games will now call it Overwatch, and that's where if I've got time units left over, I can take a pot shot at the enemy. Nope, I don't have a line of fire. Right. What about her? I'm just chancing it here. Can they hit all the way across there? Oh. Oh, and I'm out. Can I load new ammo? Nope, I don't have the time units. So again, Sam Tarantino there, going to take an E. Henri. Come on, Henri, can you... Is he in range? Again, I should probably move them closer. Yep, so Henri, I'm going to... Where is Henri? There he is, right, I'm going to move Henri a bit closer. Keep the time units, and that's everyone had their turn. Right. Nope, he didn't take a pot shot at us, which is good. So, let's see. I'm going to try. There we are. So hang on, a snapshot of 17. I'm going to kneel him down first because that also improves my accuracy. I'm going to skip you for the moment. This is easily the strongest baddie we've ever faced for some reason. Right, Sam, reload. There we go. Right, can we... Well done, Sam. Right, so hopefully that's us cleared out a few more of the aliens. Hopefully there aren't any more left alive, actually. Hopefully this is the end of it, but just in case it isn't, we will keep moving. It's always never assume that you've killed them all. Now, one of the things I used to have, well I still have for this game actually, it's absolutely lovely, is the strategy guide. It's well worth having a look at if you can get a copy of it. Aside from giving you some nice lore bits, it does give you some genuinely good advice, particularly on things like base building. Oh, good grief. Look at the size of the ship. How many of these things were on it? It's like, you know, how many people you can fit into the back of a Volkswagen. Right. Uma, I'm going to waste some time units. I'm going to pop that out, reload. I'm just going to drop that because that's not worth it, but I think she needs to have a fresh clip in it if we're still going to have another... Oh, hang on. Wonder if it's that one that wasn't dead. You know what? I'm going to get Emile to turn round. Oh no, I think its body's still there. You know what? Because Emile, or Emily, has the high explosives, I'm going to get her going back just in case. Ah, no, there it is. That's fine. Right. In fact, since we're nearly empty anyway. Apparently, this one can't hit a Ku's bum with a banjo. Now, I'm going to try and see if Sylvie can be a bit sneaky. So, maybe not. You, can you get this one? I know a lot of people advise using snapshots only with these guns because they really don't hold much in a clip. Oh. Sorry! Henri. Well, he's not covered himself in glory today. What about Sam Tarantino? Now you'll notice there's a purple bar at the bottom. That's my troops' morale. And they do lose, particularly the more of them die, they will get scared. Right, that must be the last one. Yep. So we're going to get a fairly bad rating here. Okay, I lost 2 operatives, which is 2 more than I really wanted to, but I got some things back. And some people have been promoted because they get that. So not enough equipment to fully re-equip squad. That's because I don't have enough ammo. But hopefully some of that should be arriving soon. So what I am going to do is quickly save game. Now you can see, right, so I'll just do again multiple save games. Right, so let's go to the base. So first thing, I'm going to purchase and recruit a couple of new Aquanauts just to replace the ones that were there, and I'm going to let's see. Going to get, I think I've still got, I'm going to get some more jet harpoon clips because we went through quite a lot of those, although admittedly the order still hasn't arrived from the last time. So again, good for 5 minutes. So yeah, it was kind of a reskinned game. That's okay. Let's see, quickly equip Barracuda 2 is the one. I have an Ajax launcher, so I'll put that on temporarily, although that means that's going to have to rearm. And I will sell that last gas cannon because it's just using up space. So yeah, so like I say, it did get a lot of stick for that. So that's just got some new stuff in. So I'm going to re-equip the subs. And yeah, I just thought it was quite an interesting take. They did, for all it is a reskin, it's clearly a rushed job. I think they did a pretty good job of trying to do something a bit different with it. And how many troops? I've got 6 at the moment, so I'm going to take a couple of those. Yeah, and so I thought they did a pretty good job. This is one of the problems with this when you start running out of storage space. I thought they did a pretty good job of trying to do something a bit different with the game. Because you know, making it a bit more challenging. It is effectively, like I say, I think nowadays we'd probably see this more as DLC. So I will put 2 new Aquanauts on when they arrive. We'd see this maybe as a DLC or an add-on. Back in the day this was a full game, and in fairness it is a full game. I do think you can play this alongside the original XCOM and have a different experience. So one of the things they did do was they did tweak did I get any more scientists? They did tweak some of the, they did a lot of balancing things. So one of the things that I don't have any more. One of the things that they found was that in the original game, everyone just went for the what they called the heavy plasma, because quite frankly it was a really good weapon. It was light, anyone could carry it, it had a full auto shot, and the ammo was lying around everywhere. So what you tended to find was a lot of people would just equip equip the whole cruise with heavy plasma apart from a few different weapons, and a lot of people found that quite boring. So we've done our first thing, so we've researched Gauss technology, so this is the advance. This is getting a better weapon. So what I'm going to do at the moment, I'm going to actually split my scientists. Downside of running through DOS boxes. Okay, we'll just go with that. And I'm also going to start the Gauss pistol project. This will be trying to improve our weapons. Now, and here we go, that's some new troops. Excellent. So I'm going to equip at the moment. Oh, that's just giving me information. Equip submarine. So I'm going to put another couple of people onto Triton 1. and I'm going to up my research. So again, I'll do it, and onto the pistol we'll put everyone else. We're running slightly unevenly. Yeah, so I thought they did do something quite different with this. Now, one of the things that I've often thought is I would love to see, so they did a re-release of XCOM. Now, like I say, XCOM actually as a game franchise doesn't have a particularly great history. I mean, generally people say the original, that's UFO Anywhere Known, or XCOM UFO Defense, depending on where you live. They say the original's pretty good. You'll usually get quite a few people saying nice things about that, and you'll get people saying nice things about XCOM Apocalypse. But the others, XCOM Interceptor, XCOM Enforcers, absolutely horrendous. It's just a terrible game. A lot of them just weren't really good, and there were a lot of false starts for games as well. I'm going to now get some of these coelacanths. So, one with a gas cannon, one with an aquajet. Again, this was another thing. So, they had these tanks in the first one. They were just called tanks. And in general, in the first one, you took the missile launcher one. It held less ammo, but, you know, missile launcher. And what they did here again, the aquajet one can only take torpedoes. So again, it's one of those things that I will have to consider, actually. If I look at my money supplies, not at the moment, I'm going to wait until I get a bit more money, but I am going to have to consider, in fact, can I afford another one? No. So I'm going to have to consider buying another one of these, because again, if I'm going to fight on land, I'm going to need something with a weapon that works on land, and that'll be the gas cannon rather than aquajet. So again, these things were quite decent. Oop, right, let's let Barracuda 1. So we'll see the... Again, you don't see much difference in the weapons working, and indeed, for most of this, the game worked in roughly the same way as its predecessor, but I just like the fact that they had this underwater element. I do like that actually as well. You can see the sub pen again, that was from the original one, had that. So I'm going to do a slight change to Triton's loadout, because I can now, I should be able to, I'm going to have to take 2 people out of it. Yeah, crew. So let's see. I'm just going to take one of my ensigns out. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. Actually, I think I only need... I'll see how many people can fit in. I'm going to take out some of these people, and I'm going to put on 1 each of the tanks. And how much I've got space for another 2 people? I thought it was 6 here. So, Jamie and Colette. I love the way they... I mean, it's a random generated name, but it's still quite fun that they've got that. So I now need 4 of these and 1 of these. Take that down to 12, hopefully that'll be enough. Okay, oh, hang on, yeah, I'll not bring that out yet. So, yeah, so you can see as we build facilities, in fact, I wonder if I can see how full. So yeah, I've got quite a bit of room in my stores at the moment, that's fine, because that's one of the things. So, we've got another intercept, so I'm going to do a standard attack, because these dip head torpedoes, that's depleted uranium. It's not nice, I'm a bit of a war criminal. Again, you can see, so that's a slightly bigger alien sub. It has returned fire. Oop, it's damaged my sub. So we've downed it. So this one again, we're going to have another intercept on the ground, and I think what we'll do, again, quickly save games in case anything goes wrong, and you know, I didn't even need to run a timer. I can see how long I've been recording for. So it's going to be a bit of a longer one. I'm going to launch the Triton so you can see me use tanks. Now, can I get there before it gets dark? Yes, I can. This is because I've only got a small sonar, so I can only pick up things near the base. As I get the bigger sonars, I can pick up more. So again, we've got this. I was hoping we'd get a terror mission before we go, but them's the breaks. But yeah, like I say, so they did the remake of XCOM quite recently. I think we've got someone stronger than you, Jamie. So they did the remake, and it was really good. I think it was called XCOM Enemy Unknown, and it was excellent. There's been a lot of people wondering, I mean, I'd love to see a Warhammer game based on that as well. I think some people have said a 40k game based on that would be awesome, and I can't help but agree. But it's also what I'd love to see them was them to do a Terror from the Deep. You know, take on it, because I thought they could actually do something quite interesting. So one of the things in XCOM games, and one of the things that a lot of people like, is there's a certain point where you get better than the aliens. Your tech's up there. You've quite often got psychics by that point, so you can mind control them, and you're just able to knock out most. There's very few aliens that will cause you fear. A lot of people like that's kind of the turning point in the game. What I thought would have been quite neat would have been to take this. Looks like it's Jamie. I'm sure I saw. What was it? Yeah, Emil. Yeah. So I quite like the idea of taking, the idea of the aliens learn and adapt, and having again a Terror from the Deep based on the more recent XCOM engine, but having the aliens effectively start off really powerful. So underwater, you were using these, horrible harpoon guns and that sort of thing, and generally you were quite in trouble. You'd be in trouble quite a lot. But when you were on the surface, the initial terror attacks, the aliens would be pretty weak. So there's my 2 tanks, underwater tanks. As you can see, I do this all the time. I feel out the edges of the map, so I know roughly where I'm going to be going. But yeah, the aliens would be relatively weak underwater. Sorry, on the surface, and you'd be relatively weak underwater. And as the game developed, things would kind of even out. So they'd start fielding units which were stronger underwater, and you'd start fielding units which were stronger on the surface. Now, the sub has crashed, and it's got a big hole in the side, and that's handy, because that's my way in. Now, I'm going to move the other tank out and up around the side, because again, I don't expect they've waited patiently on their sub for me to come and get them. So, again, I'm always reserving time for snapshots, so get the next 2 Aquanauts ready. And again, the other upshot of these tanks, for all that they're expensive, they can be quite hardy, and that's always useful. So what I'm going to do, and I did like, they also had varied things. So we had an oil rig last time, an oil exploration platform. This time we look like some sort of crash sites. You've also got shipwrecks, undersea volcanoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm bringing him into covering position. So he's now looking straight into the alien ship. Having this opening is great, because that would normally be a kind of rat maze for us to move around. Now, incidentally, you might notice, because one of the other things that I quite liked what they did in this is they gave it a bit of a kind of 1950s horror film feel. So, for example, they've taken in a couple of elements. One of the things they brought in as well was some Lovecraftian stuff. For example, there's aliens that come in later called Deep Ones, and in fact, at the moment, the aliens who I've been running into have been called Gillmen. And when you see a picture, if I manage to get, well, I won't, but if you Google the Gillmen from XCOM, they've gone for a very Creature from the Black Lagoon look to it. And now, incidentally, if you're looking for some information on the Creature from the Black Lagoon, Jim Moon's Hypnagoria podcast is a really good place to look at. He's done a couple of things on both the history of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, based on sort of taking from the recently released film The Shape of Water, and he's also done a reading of a kind of a story about the Gillmen, but his lore stuff in particular is fantastic, and it's well worth a listen, well worth some of your time. As an aside there, but yeah, so we're fighting Gillmen. We also have, they do have things called aquatoids, which in the original game there were aliens called sectoids, which were kind of a bit like your greys from sort of classic UFO mythology. Well, the aquatoids were their seafaring cousins, and what they've kind of done is they have tweaked it a little to make the aquatoids the leaders in this. In the original XCOM, it was obviously the ethereals, but we can't have everything. And yeah, so. But yes, they've got some quite neat. So, like I say, they've gone for horrible things. There's a baddie called a Lobster Man, who's genuinely. I was hoping to see some opportunity fire there. Right, well, I know where he is now because someone spotted him. So I'm going to take some pot shots at him with the tank. There we go. Bit more oomph on the gun in that. Now, again, this guy I'm actually going to have patrol, because both these people with the heavy weapons are packing high explosives, so they can cover the entrance to the sub, but I don't really want them wandering about the submarine because they're as likely to harm themselves as the enemy. Much better to keep them kind of outdoors. Now I'm just going to skip through. So there's our torpedo one. I'm going to run him forward. And again, I'm just deploying people. It's not quite a standard pattern, but in fact, I'm actually going to run... Yeah, I'm going to run this person back down here because I think we really need some of the people with the harpoon guns moving back towards the sub. Again, you can come up this way. I shouldn't really run. It's one of the downsides. The original one, the Sky Ranger that you used in the original one, had a big ramp at the back, and this side ramp is a bit of a pain. It doesn't mean you have to walk around the ship every time. So, oh, sole survivor. There we go. So we've recovered some aquaplastic, some zerbite. These are things that we'll start looking into more. We've killed one alien, but we've recovered 4 corpses, and we recovered some alien artifacts as well, so that was good. So one of the subs is out of ammo. I think I know what it is. It will be the gas cannon one. So let's go for another. Right, okay. Let's just make sure we got ammo. So, yeah, so that's basically XCOM Terror from the Deep for your viewing. I think it's a game that quite often gets a bad rap. It gets sort of unfairly criticised, sometimes fairly, but I think it's really enjoyable. It's well worth your time to check out. It's available on Steam and GOG, and also if you can get hold of the strategy guides for it, they're well worth a read. Like I say, they've got a lot of stuff about base building. One of the notable things, if I look at the bases, they point out how incompetently built the first base is. So if you're ever doing it, one of the things they point out is you've got 4 entrance points to the base, each sub-pen and the airlock. When you build a new base, the first thing you place is the airlock, and there are points where aliens will attack your base, and they'll come in through those. So if you have a base attack in this part, your crew is randomly spread about, and you've got to try and work out, you'll have aliens coming in through these 3 sub-pens in the airlock, whereas the way they suggested was building the 3 sub-pens along the bottom, airlock there, and then the rest of your base up here. And what it means is you've largely got the aliens bottlenecked, and it does make, I've done alien base invasions with it, and it does make it a lot better. So all that remains for me to say is I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry I couldn't show you more of it. I don't want to drag it out too much. As I say, it's not a particularly spectator friendly game, but I'd like to do a bit more of occasionally bringing you games which maybe don't make for a great Let's Play, but will hopefully be something you might want to try out in the future. So if you'd like to talk to me at all, you can get me on Twitter at Pyman70. That's Pyman, all one word, and 70 the number. Now, I've also appeared recently on a podcast. Branching out a little. So I thoroughly recommend, and I'll probably include links in the notes, that if you would like to hear more, or preferably if you'd like to hear some more talented people than me talk about spaceships, then I would listen to The Great Derelict, run by Andy Plastides. It's a good listen, and I thoroughly recommend it. I'm on it in a discussion about the court-martial and the inquiry into what happened to the Enterprise D, who is to blame for its crash. But in general, they've covered a lot of things. I'd thoroughly recommend listening to that podcast. So all it remains to say is please do like and comment, get in touch with me if you want, and I'll probably be back in a bit, or in a month or so, to talk about Star Trek 25th Anniversary again. But until then, bye for now.